friends, welcome back to a Bookmas video. My name is O-Sheena. I'm glad that you're here. I'm going to be sharing some Christian historical romance books that I loved in 2024. I do a separate video for this genre specifically because this is a least favorite genre for me, so I like to share about the books that I actually do like in this genre because I do try to read from it because there's a lot of Christian fiction historical romance out there, and so if I don't read them, it like knocks off so many book options for the year in the Christian fiction space. So I do try to read a little bit of the historical romance because as long as the romance is the forefront, I still can like the book. For me, like, the historical time period and setting is just not interesting to me in any way, and it is what it is. That's just my book taste, but if there is enough romance, then I can kind of just get on board with it anyways, and there's even some that I rated 5 stars this year because the romance was so good. So I'm going to be sharing about those books. Some of them have like a stronger historical element and some don't. So I'll just explain. So if you like historical fiction, you'll probably like these books. And if you don't, you might like these ones just because I did, and I don't typically like historical romance. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense, but none of these will probably be a surprise, but it's kind of just a short list of the historical romance books that I did actually like, and they all have like faith elements to them too. So I am just gonna go for it. So if you saw, I do actually have, for quite a few of these books, I have reading vlogs for them. But I did start the Timeless series by Gabrielle Meyer this year. So I read When the Day Comes and In This Moment, and I gave both 4 stars. And I did enjoy them. So I would say that they deserve a spot on this list just because it was so surprising that I actually enjoyed them. And I do have a reading vlog for both these books, so I'll link those down below. I read them like far apart, but they do kind of build on each other, so you do have to read them in order. When the Day Comes was just so surprising to me. Like, there were times when the historical time period was boring to me, and like there was one, it was I forget the time periods that were in this one, but anyways, the one where it's like, I don't even know how to talk about it. Okay. Anyways, one of the time periods I definitely found like more annoying to read about, also because I didn't like the guy. There was kind of like in both timelines, I didn't really like either guy. I was annoyed at both, and one was like a terrible person and the other one was just, I felt like he was leading her on and I was annoyed about that. But it's so crazy how it all comes together, and I think just the main girl character in When the Day Comes was such a strong lead. She was a really great character to read from. I thought she was really well fleshed out and she had real human emotions, and the things that she went through, like, it was so intense, but it was written really well. And overall, I was really impressed. Like, I gave it 4 stars. I definitely was like, wow, I see the hype. I see why people love this. And then for In This Moment, it was different. Like, for this one, there's 3 time periods, which was fun. And I had just had such a good time, like, kind of sharing my experience with it. I think if I wasn't doing a reading vlog for it, I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much. But it just, like, there was just so much going on that it really kept me entertained, and I felt like it was worth a 4 star as well. I could argue, like, it's a between a 3 and a 4 for both these books, but overall, like, I just think they're so well done and really impressive, and there's that. I will just throw this out there. I don't know if I'll mention it in any other video, but I did start For a Lifetime, which is the 3rd book, and unfortunately I did DNF it. I was hoping to film a whole separate reading vlog for this book, but yeah, I had the audiobook and the physical book, but either I wasn't in the mood for it, or it just truly was that boring. So I was like, nothing about either time period interested me. I didn't really feel connected to the characters, and I just struggle with the alternating timelines. And for this one, you follow twin sisters, and each timeline alternates in their perspective too, and I just like didn't care. I kind of struggled to keep it straight, and I didn't like any of the guys. Like, the romance was kind of lacking, so I DNF'd it, and I kind of think I might be done with this series. But I'm still saying that, like, When the Day Comes and In This Moment, I'm glad that I read them and I would recommend them. And honestly, I'm the minority. Most people like this series, so maybe check it out if you haven't yet, because you might like it even if you don't like contemporary, or even if you don't like historical romance and you normally like contemporary. So there you go. Another author that I've just been hyping a lot lately because I don't know, I really love her writing style and I think her books are great, is Rachel Fordham. So these are the two books at this point that I've read this year. I'm hoping to read another one of her books before the end of December, but we'll see if that actually happens. But yeah, I did read The Hope of Azure Springs and Beyond Ivy Walls this year, and I gave The Hope of Azure Springs 4 stars. I was surprised because the first half, I would say, was quite boring to me, and I was like, oh no, like, this is like hitting 3 stars, 2.5 kind of level. But then the way that the main character like grows as a person and seeing her like development throughout the story, it was like so endearing, and I just kind of fell in love with her, I would say, and like was really like endeared to her, and I was like, oh, I actually like this book. And then the romance turned so sweet and adorable that I was like, okay, 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I think like if you're not liking it so much at the beginning, like maybe keep pushing through and give it a shot, because I thought the ending was great and the way that it all like progressed and wrapped up was great. So I gave that 4 stars, and I'm really glad that I read it. And then for Beyond Ivy Walls, this was a new release from 2024, and I give this 5 stars. I thought it was so well done. This is like the sweetest, nicest historical romance, Beauty and the Beast retelling that you could read. Like, there were some high stakes, but it was kind of just like a mellow-ish, like just a really pleasant story to read. It just was feel good. Like, if you want just, yeah, something that is like no brain power, feel good, easy to read, that's what this book is, and I really loved it for that. On top of like the relationship was so adorable, like the way she writes romance between characters, it's just, there's nothing like it. She's really good at it, and there was like a little bit of letter writing back and forth, and normally I don't like that, but these letters were so cute. I just loved it. So yeah, I would recommend this one too, and I gave it 5 stars. I just love her writing, and I'm looking forward to seeing what she writes next. Okay, and lastly is Fairest of Heart by Karen Witemeyer. This is also in a video, I think. So yeah, this is a Snow White retelling, and I really enjoyed it. Like, I gave it a solid 4 stars, 4.5 if we're gonna be specific. Like, it was good. It was really good. Just the way she wrote like the dialogue and the characters, it was so well done. I wouldn't say that, like, I guess the retelling part and the setting wasn't that interesting to me, and like a little bit the setup and like the beginning, I was like, okay, get on with it, whatever, because it's a typical Snow White retelling. Like, this girl is so beautiful, but she's just kind of living under this like famous lady, and the famous lady gets mad at her and like banishes her and tries to kill her actually, but she, like, the girl ends up getting saved by these like 7 dudes who are just kind of like old curmudgeon guys, and they save her. And then there's this like ranger, Texas Ranger, who comes and like takes care of her, and there's a romance. But those characters though, like the dynamic between the 7 men and her and the ranger, it was so well done. Like, I was captured by that part, and I loved reading about her time with them. Kind of just like the plot and like the villain story, like didn't really care about that as much, but the romance and these characters was so good. So highly recommend this book. It was really, really good. So yeah, I loved that. So in general, all of these books have no language and only kissing. However, in When the Day Comes, there are two implied scenes between a married couple. So that is, yeah. And then you could also, it is also abuse happens, so be aware of that. Otherwise, none of the other books that I just mentioned have anything beyond kissing, and nothing like kind of sexual at all. So yeah, I'm gonna write these books down below and link all of the videos down below that I read these books in if you want to see like more specific thoughts. But this is my little collection of Christian historical fiction that I actually liked this year and that I would recommend, and hopefully this just gives you a little taste of maybe if you want to get into Christian historical romance. These are my recommendations at the moment, although I think I have a favorite Christian historical romance books video, so I'll link that down below too. It's kind of recent. So anyways, I hope this was helpful. I know it's kind of short and sweet, but thank you for watching, you guys, and yeah, I'll see you in my next video. Bye.